All right, this is going to be part 2 on the Humvee custom top. So there's going to be a lot of talking, a lot of explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing, the reasons for it. And I'm doing that to help you out if you're trying to do this yourself, to save you any hassle of any issues I've had to go through, or maybe you have solutions to problems I've had. So the biggest issue I've had so far is that I decided to go with 1/4-inch aluminum for the top. I was able to get it for a good price. It's heavy duty. It's not going to bend very easily, which is kind of a problem, but you're going to be able to stand on the top of the truck and not have to worry about anything bending. It's really what it comes down to. So with that though, with the 1/4-inch, I made a metal brake, which is not done yet, but it's just a really crude, simple metal brake. Okay, and I made it wide enough to bend the pieces that I wanted to try to bend, and I didn't expect that it was gonna work well, and I might try it again by adding some heat to the aluminum, but ultimately this 1/4-inch steel is not going to be able to effectively bend this aluminum as it is. So what I might do, let's say that I want to bend here. What I might do is score the aluminum with a wheel disc to thin it out, make the bend, and then I'm gonna drop the money and I'm gonna get a aluminum welder and buy the argon gas, get a spool wheel, and or one with a TIG setup, and just use that if I bend it to fill in the space. My other option is going to be to take the aluminum somewhere and have it professionally bent. So you're going to have to pay for that, of course. So it's really going to depend upon how much is it going to cost for somebody to bend it to where I wanted to bend it, versus how much is it going to cost for me to get a aluminum welder set up, and am I going to use the aluminum welder setup in the future? How much am I going to use it? Is it worth it? So I have that to consider. All right, getting back to the actual project though, here's what I've done. I've basically just I've set 2 pieces of, because they're going to be independent tops. You're going to be able to take, like a Jeep, you're going to be able to take the driver's side off, the passenger side off independently. There's going to be a system to seal the center pieces, and so you're not going to have any water leaking from the inside, from the center. And I'm just kind of working that out in my head as I go along. But okay, anyway, here's what I've done. I set the 2 pieces on top there, okay. And what I termed it is that the B pillar here is approximately an inch taller than the A window frame. So what I did is I took a sheet like this. I had a sheet like this, okay. I took that sheet and I laid it flat on the table. I laid it flat on the table. I set this on it, the factory one, and I traced out the dimensions of this. I traced out the dimensions of this. Then what I did, now if you look at the original ones, there's about 3/16 of the factory window gasket that shows. See how that window gasket's showing? I didn't want that. So what I did is, where the original template is, I added about 3/16 down from that and drew a line. And if you see now, when this is sitting up here, you don't see the gasket. You can see the gasket here, but there's no gasket here. It gives it a really just gives it a clean, armored style look that just has good lines. Then from there, what I did is I measured the distance from here to the top of the window frame A-pillar, which was this dashed line. I took the measurements from here over, and here over, and I did my line. So this is where the original window frame is. Then I did approximately the inch up. From there I did an inch up. Okay. So that gives me the inch height difference for the B pillar. And you actually, let me back up a little bit. You want to do a little bit less than an inch. You want to do a little bit less than the B pillar, and here's why. Because I'm going to be running a gasket that's going to sit down on top of this. It's going to sit down on top of it like this. So you have this that I can't think of the name of it, but this sits over the edge and just keeps it clean. But I'm going to do one that's more of a gasket material, and that's going to provide a seal between here and here, and it's also going to provide some cushion, so less chance of noise from any vibration or anything like that. Okay, so they'll run all the way across there and then on the other side. Then what I've done is I also marked the original holes for the original piece, and I'm not gonna use, well, instead of just doing the screw-in bolts that thread directly into the A-pillar, I'm probably going to install rivet nuts so that I don't have to worry about stripping this aluminum out. I'll put a rivet nut in there, and I won't have to worry about stripping the aluminum out. I'm thinking I'm probably going to go that route. I want to be cautious because I don't know exactly where the rods are for the windshield wiper. I assume they're in this area because the factory has the bolts down here. So I just won't run any holes up here, so I don't have to worry about colliding with any of the wiper bar. I'll put the rivet nuts here, and I should be clear on here to put them whatever height I want. Now with the aluminum I had, it's just a bit short, which is okay. So I'll just cut another piece of aluminum that goes up to here, and I'll weld that on there so it'll be one piece. I just did this, I did it like this for saving material, as I would have had to use a really large piece of aluminum to get this extra distance, and I just didn't want to cut it up. So then I need to decide next is, where do I want my angle? Because when you look at it from the front, this plate is going to be angled like this. Right now I'm thinking this is where I'm going to do my cut. And then the piece that goes between the piece that seals up the door will be at that angle, and it'll run across here to the B pillar, and then from there I'll be able to mark the top piece, and then I'll be able to do my bend on the top, and everything should mount up pretty good. And then I'll put another piece of the sealer that I'll do in the front. I'll put another piece on top here that'll seal between this piece and the top. So that's pretty much where I'm at. It's pretty level. So the top is the top plate is actually sitting on here, so that means that it's level as it is. It's pretty level right now. It's at the halfway mark. So when I get everything cut the exact way I want it, what I'll do is I'll just use this one as a template to draw out the piece for the other side. So I'll have exact matching pieces. I want to show you another little trick that you may or may not know about. So as far as cutting the aluminum, I just use a wheel, which they don't cut aluminum great. It takes longer, but the wheel lasts a long time. It doesn't heat up like it does when you're cutting steel, and there's no sparks. So the only thing I used to cut that aluminum was a wheel and just a fine-toothed jigsaw blade. Now in order to get a straight line with a wheel, what I recommend you do, let's say that you want a line going across here, set your piece on, clamp it down, use this as a guide. So essentially you're using this as a guide to score it all as you go down, and you're going to get a perfectly straight line, because it's very hard to get a straight line on a wheel just doing it by hand. You have to use something as a guide along there. So that's how I was able to get such a straight line across the bottom here. This was all cut by hand. So I was able to get an extremely straight line across the bottom, cutting it by hand, because I used that other piece as a guide. So that's where we're at with this video. I'm gonna keep going along, and I'll do another video to show you the next part of the update.